Hey, what's going on, everyone? Adam here, and welcome to another episode of Paper Movies Single Cut. Single Cut is a audio exclusive series where Matthew, Jeremy, and myself individually pick a novelization and we review it for a roughly shorter amount of time than our normal episodes. Jeremy has already released a few single cuts for the novelizations to the Halloween film series. You can find those on Spotify or Anchor, so be sure to go check those out. And also be sure to go check out our YouTube channel where we released our episode for the discussion to the Halloween 1978 novelization. Now, for my first single cut, I decided to go with the novelization to the 2003 film Daredevil. The novelization to Daredevil was written by Greg Cox, who, as most of you know, has written a handful of novelizations in the past. We actually just recently discussed one of those on Paper Movies. It was the novelization to the Superman film Man of Steel. The screenplay for Daredevil was by Mark Steven Johnson. And as most of you know, Daredevil was based on the Marvel comic by Stan Lee and Bill Everett. The novelization was also published in 2003 by Onyx. Now, just like every episode of Paper Movies, I'm going to first give a brief summary before I give my overall thoughts. Well, this film serves as an origin story to the classic comic character with some slight alterations here and there. We see a young Matt Murdock blinded by radioactive chemicals after he witnesses his father, a boxer known as Jack the Devil Murdock, engaging in some criminal activity for a local mobster named Fallon. Now, although this accident blinds Matt, it also enhances his remaining senses to superhuman levels. After his father is murdered by the local mobster for refusing to throw a fight, Matt decides to use his gifts to bring justice to Hell's Kitchen. He grows up to be a lawyer by day, and by night, he is Daredevil, the man without fear. Now, Matt Murdock eventually meets a young woman named Elektra Natchios, daughter of a billionaire named Nicholas Natchios, who has ties to Wilson Fisk, a secret crime lord, also known as the Kingpin of Crime. And now for my thoughts. While the film was not received very well, I was actually impressed with its novelization. The novelization is based on the director's cut of the film, which was a relief because the theatrical cut was a train wreck, in my opinion. The director's cut wasn't the greatest either, but I consider it more watchable, and it's actually a guilty pleasure of mine. Greg Cox did a good job with this novelization. Now, with all the issues in the film, the novel was more interesting and was definitely an improvement on the story because some of the major flaws of the film were the cheesy special effects and over-the-top acting from several of the actors. And in the novel, without the effects and overacting to distract, I was able to focus more on the characters and the story, and in turn made the story more interesting. And speaking of characters, just like the Spider-Man novelization that we discussed recently, we get the occasional Easter egg or reference to other Marvel characters, which I enjoyed. Now, for the most part, the novel does follow the film pretty well, but a few differences brought more depth and intrigue to the story. Aside from some added or altered dialogue here and there and the occasional additional scene, a major difference I noticed happened near the middle of the novel. It was the scene where Bullseye was sent to kill Nicholas Natchios. In the film, Bullseye is seen drinking and winning a game of darts in a pub, and he kills someone for trash-talking him. Well, if you've seen the film, then you may know that this scene takes place very early in the film. And in the novelization, this happens the exact same night that he kills Natchios, which takes place far later in the story. Now, definitely wasn't expecting a change like that, but I thought it worked just fine. Now, as can often be the case with novelizations based on comic book or action films, some of the fight scenes didn't hold the same impact as they do on screen. This was especially true for the fight scene at Josie's bar in the beginning between Daredevil and the thugs. That was actually one of my favorite scenes from the film because I enjoyed the fight choreography. But for the novelization, I just didn't get the same impact from that. Though I'd say it was written very well, that's one thing I prefer in the film rather than the novel. But those are my thoughts for Greg Cox's novel to Daredevil. For my rating, I'm going to give it a B+. Except for the small issues I had, I thought this novelization was very enjoyable and was a pretty easy read, and I do recommend you guys check it out. Guys, thanks so much for checking out this Paper Movie Single Cut episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and please be sure to go check out the other single cuts posted by Jeremy, and also go check out our recent YouTube upload of our Halloween discussion, as well as our Facebook page and our other social media. Also be sure to go check out our individual channels. You can find me at BryantVRM or my Star Wars channel Red5 Reviews. You can find Matthew at the Geeks Attic or his new Star Wars podcast channel, the Tuscan Reader Podcast. And you can find Jeremy at Stupid Chainsaw Productions. Thank you all again so much, and have a great one.